Hey, and welcome to the third episode of Second Chances. I'm your host, Dr. Helen Salim, and today I will be chatting to Helen Meza, executive coach and entrepreneur, co-founder of Resonant World, aspiring author, keynote speaker who climbed 4 mountains across 4 continents, including the tallest one in Africa, as well as Europe. Helen Meza will discuss the importance of prioritizing your health and finding the root cause. So my name is Dr. Helen Salim. I'm a healthpreneur, CEO, and founder of Healology. I'm an award-winning author, international speaker, recognized by global health and wellness gurus as the most influential thought leader in health and wellness. I'm also known as the pharmacist of the future. I inspire, inform, and instruct corporate leaders and healthcare professionals in how to prevent disease, protect immunity, and potentially reverse chronic conditions like obesity, diabetes, cancer, and many more in a span of 3 months through a process I call Healology. This is a scientific, evidence-based, natural, and measurable turnkey system so you can make an impact, accelerate your career, and leave a legacy. So let me give you some information about Second Chances Show. So I've always spoken about how we can create second chances for ourselves in health and happiness, as I offer the roadmap in my book, Second Chances. Now, due to the COVID-19, where everyone is focused on the same, I wanted to bring on experts from different industries to showcase their own journey of second chances at health and well-being using natural methods. In doing so, we'll answer many questions on people's minds. Things like, is mental health a cornerstone of physical health? How does mental health impact human happiness? Can preventative and lifestyle changes end global issues? Health issues, actually. How can government and companies communication contribute to promoting a healthy lifestyle as part of a social culture? What is the real ensuring safety of individual by providing reliable information on modern diets, slimming techniques, sports, dietary supplements, and the use of medicine and invasive measures? As a matter of fact, recently I saw that there was a new guidelines that's being updated every year that all government communication staff are expected to review behavioral change theories and principles, including social psychological theory and behavioral economics, in addition to developing other content that encourages individuals positively contribute to community development, economic development, and health issues. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our speaker for today, or our guest, Sahil Meza. Like I said, he's an executive coach, he's an entrepreneur, he's the co-founder of Resonant World, he's an aspiring author, and he's a keynote speaker. Sahil Meza was born and raised in Belgium of Indian descent. Sahil's life has blessed him to live in 5 countries across 3 continents, giving him a global outlook. Struggling to balance his life, Sahil was not comfortable with the labels that was given to him and lost touch with his authentic self. While on a trip that unmasked an environment without judgment, his eyes opened to how happy he could be. This feeling of euphoria triggered him to declutter from the material world, body, people, and mind in search of identity, resulting in him to discover his authentic self and living a life of passion, purpose, giving unimaginable results. He now offers his audience the opportunity to experience the same through the art of decluttering. I love that. So I want to now bring on Sahil. Hi, Sahil. How are you?
How are you? I'm great.
Great. So I want you to, I know I did a brief introduction, but give us also your expertise or what you focus on. And I know you're having a book being launched soon, so give us some idea about that.
Thank you. So yeah, my area of expertise is basically I help people struggling with mental overload to reach their summit, so that they can enjoy a stress-free, healthy life. And healthy is a key word there, with financial abundance. And one of those 3 steps that I focus on to get you there is decluttering, which I'm going to be very happy to share with all of you today.
Awesome. So I know you have a Second Chances health and healing journey that was very interesting. That I've asked Sahil. It's a personal story, but he was so kind to speak about it to let everyone in our audience understand how impactful finding being healthy and finding the root cause behind this connect to your health and well-being. So please, Sahil, go ahead.
So let me take care of my presentation. Here we go. So I start with saying, if it doesn't feel right, it
Hi, Sahil, you hear me?
So anyway,
Yes.
I've always found that there was something that was irritating me, but it wasn't big enough where I felt I had to go to the doctor, or perhaps I just accepted it. But it was enough to be on my mind every now and again, if not almost every day. And back in the days, people weren't necessarily checking essential vitamins and minerals as much as they might be today. At least that was my experience. So even when I went and I got certain blood reports done, in many cases, they would show me, and then when I look at the results, I would be within the range. And I didn't realize that for certain types of vitamins and even minerals, it's not actually advisable to be near the bottom of the range. It's advisable to be in the upper half, which is what I found out much later in life. So let me tell you a little bit about the symptoms I was feeling. On a daily basis, I would feel bloated pretty much all over my body. I would wake up with a stuffed nose almost every single day. And as a result of that, I used to wake up with a bit of a headache, right? And then through the day, I used to get these energy dips where I used to just fall asleep or get very, very, very tired. And again, I thought that was just me. I thought, hey, I'm just pushing myself. I'm just being the aggressive go-getter that I am. And I realized very quickly that it's just me, and I accepted myself. And when I say I used to fall asleep on my desk. I've fallen asleep even when I've gone out to a restaurant. I could be speaking to you on, over dinner or on the sofa afterwards, and I could fall asleep. But again, I thought it's just me. Perhaps I'm not getting enough sleep. It might be to do with my blocked nose, etc. But little did I realize, and this is why I love sharing this quote from Hippocrates, is all diseases begin in the gut. I didn't realize that as a result of the mental challenges that I was facing, that it was affecting my gut in such a big way. And as a result of that, it was affecting the rest of my body. Now imagine if I'm lethargic
Yeah,
and
without cutting you off, I wanted to mention also in the medical world and in the healthcare world, we actually call your gut being the second brain. So it kind of creates, if there's havoc there, people will have depression, a lot of negative thinking and things of the sort. So I just wanted to agree with you on that, because yeah, the gut is very important to have a healthy gut with healthy bacteria in order to defend off these other emotional issues that we call depression. Go ahead. Thank you.
I also kept a lot of it to myself, but I don't know what, there was this inner voice in me once when I was having dinner by the Dead Sea in Jordan with some friends. And I just opened up and I said, I have these feelings. I'm not sure what's going on, but something doesn't feel right. And they shared with me some of the symptoms they were feeling and how they went to an integrative functional doctor and said that, listen, it sounds like you might actually have some deficiencies in vitamins, and or you might have some food types that are actually causing inflammation because your body is intolerant to them. I'd never heard of these things before, and I thought my blood was always within range. So I made an appointment, and I just want to share this visual with you because, even though I exercise a lot, in the span of 4 years, just by changing two things, which is what I ingest and sleep patterns, you see
Uh,
the change in result. And if I just share the next slide, which is my body fat went from 24% down to 13%. Why? Because I stopped eating the foods that were harming my body. When I did this intolerance test, I found out that I was highly intolerant to dairy, to eggs, and almonds. And the funny thing is, well, it's not really funny now that I think about it, but I was consuming those items every single day. So
wow.
imagine I'm thinking I'm eating good food and I'm generally healthy. I'm not eating the fried foods as much. I'm not eating all the sugary stuff. So I'm always wondering, like, if I'm having such a healthy diet, why am I still feeling this way? And it turned out that I was actually eating things that were harming my body. And the irony of it is that I've been a vegetarian all my life, and I had to give up dairy and eggs, which essentially meant that I had to become vegan. And it was funny because I used to make fun of vegans. I used to say, "Thank God I'm not vegan, otherwise I'd shoot myself." And lo and behold, that's what happens to me. So,
Wow.
so I eliminated the foods that were harming my body. Right? I just dairy's out, eggs are out, almonds are out. Almonds have been reintroduced, and they're not affecting my body anymore. But the other two, I've given up forever. I've actually now live a vegan lifestyle. But the other 2 points I want to highlight is my B12 levels and D3, which were, in my opinion, and from what I understand, dangerously low. Now, I want to just highlight here the importance of why monitoring essential vitamins and minerals is so, so, so critical. I
Ab-
mentioned that I used to fall asleep a lot, right? I used to
yes.
just, and it's not that I gradually became tired and I fell asleep. I'd be awake, and then all of a sudden it felt like the curtains closed, and I would just fall asleep. And my friends and it would find it very strange. And I remember even when I was engaged, I used to tell my at that time fiance, I said, "Sweetheart," because we had a long distance relationship, I said, "Look, I may fall asleep on the phone, but it's not you, it's me. So don't take it in a negative way." And even though I fell asleep on numerous occasions while speaking to her, she still got mad at me, even though I gave her the advance warning.
Oh my God. On that note, Sahil, I do want to mention, I always advocate that, yes, there's a lot of suggestions out there. There's a lot of how-to, there's a lot of fad diets. There's all these one-size-fits-all magic formula, if you will, the magic pill. And a lot of people, because of the marketing and the promises they make, they run and they think, okay, I got the idea, but it's very important at this point to have people understand that not those one size fits all are not good, because each body really has their own requirements, because you bring a lot of I mean, even I even mentioned in my last episode, even if you are siblings, even if you're brother and sister, you still, your requirements are going to be different, because your perception is different, your experiences is different, your perception on life is different, and that has a scale and a test and measure for a lot of the chemicals in your body, and enzymes and hormones and everything else. So yeah, I totally agree with you that it's very crucial that you find out exactly what it is that your body needs and go for it, because even though you were having a healthy diet, a healthy, you were vegetarian and you were doing everything right. I understand. I mean, from you climbed the tallest mountain in Africa, so obviously you're in good shape, but you still had this issue with sleeping unconditionally. Yeah. So go ahead.
And
Please
here's the
continue.
thing, my wife and I ate the same food, right? And
Hmm.
she didn't have any vitamin deficiency and she had no intolerances. So imagine, it's exactly
Yeah.
what you said. Two people following similar lifestyles in terms of the food and the activities involved, but still I had major gut issues and she did not, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, so I'm driving home one night with my wife next to me. She's asleep. It's a little bit late. And I must be about 5 minutes from the house. And then all of a sudden, I feel tired. And again, as I described below before, the curtains just closed and I just fell asleep behind the wheel. The next
Wow.
thing I know, I suddenly wake up because I hear loud screaming and the whole car is just shaking. And then we come to an abrupt stop. And then every airbag had come out of the car, every single airbag except mine. the driver's airbag. That didn't come out. Every other airbag came out. And the first thing, as I'm going through this this vigorous shaking, all I'm thinking is, how can my life ends so early? I just recently got married. I mean, I'm too young to go, and I'm thinking about my parents and my in-laws, and I'm just in my close friends. And I look over, and then I see there's no blood. So that gave me a little bit of calmness. I reach out to my wife, and she's okay. She's obviously just traumatized. I look at myself, I don't see any blood. And then I step out of the car, and here's the thing. I'm blessed we did not hit any other car.
Yes.
I'm blessed I didn't hit any civilian and that no one got injured. And I can't even explain how blessed I felt that both my wife and I walked out with just minor bruising. Because when I walked out of the car and I had a look at it from a distance, it was crushed from the front, from the back, and from the side, and one tire even flew off and must have gone out at least 5 to 10 meters. So it was a bad accident. And how, if you're religious, if you believe in a higher being, whatever you follow, I mean, that day I realized that it wasn't my time to go and that I was protected somehow.
So
And
you
even
got a second chance that day. Second chances. Yeah.
absolutely, that was a second chance. But here's the thing, I still didn't realize that it was something to do with. It was only many, many years later, about 3 or 4 years later, when I was, having breakfast at the Dead Sea, as I mentioned earlier, when I opened up to some friends and I got my vitamins and minerals checked, and through bloods, I got these results that I'm sharing with you on these slides. So my B12 was 197, which is pretty much at the bottom of the range. And
Yes.
fast forward till 2019, it was above 800, which is on the higher end, which is in a good place. My
Yeah.
vitamin D was off the chart. It's supposed to be above 30. I was 11, right? And now it's at close to 60, which is again in a much better place. But forget the numbers for a second. How do I feel? I don't wake up with the blocked nose anymore. All the bloating has gone. That's why you see the decrease in body fat from 24% to 13%, which was essentially 10% of my body weight. And all that was as a result of the inflammation. This beautiful machine that we have that we call the human body was just malfunctioning. And because I removed all the elements that were causing it harm and supplementing it with the right vitamins and minerals that are required, it started to operate so much better. And since then, I have never fallen asleep when I didn't want to, except when I'm so tired because, perhaps the kids kept me up all night or something, and I was just genuinely tired like everyone else might be. But I've never fallen asleep on a sofa, a restaurant, a nightclub, or a car since I've been monitoring my essentials.
That's an extraordinary story, and I'm very happy that you came out of it to, speak about it today, because obviously that was a very dangerous situation, and the way you describe it, you're very lucky to have a second chance today, and God, thank God you're safe, and I'm glad that from this unfortunate circumstance, you went on to find out what the root cause, what it is that is happening that brought it to your attention. So how do you operate now? How do you make sure that these levels are continuing to stay up to par and you don't go through this experience again?
So look, I monitor my bloods a bare minimum of once a year, if not twice a year. And I'm just monitoring my levels and I'm keeping a track as well. I do the intolerance test. But now that the bloating has stopped and everything's working much better, I decided that I don't need to do it maybe once every year. Maybe I'll do it every other year. But I'm very, I've created this new habit of just being more cautious and aware of what I'm eating, right? I start looking at the ingredients of all the packaged food that might be entering our house. Is this really what I want to consume? Are there ingredients in there that I can't pronounce or I could only remember from my days in chemistry class? Is there
Yes.
too much sugar or salt in there? So not only has it helped me become more aware and monitor my essential vitamins and minerals, but I'm also more aware of now what I'm consuming, because in modern day food, a granola bar might look very enticing and beautiful packaging, making it look like it's healthy and eco-friendly and all that. But when you actually look at the ingredients and you notice that the first three ingredients are different forms of sugar, you start questioning yourself, well,
Yes.
is this really what I want to ingest and put into my body, which I should be treating as as the mecca, right? I mean, I want my body to work for me. I don't want to be having constant distractions as a result of health challenges, which is what I was facing before.
I absolutely agree. And it's very good that you mentioned that. It's a very good question that you always, bring your attention and focus right before eating, fast food, or picking up that, Coke, or Pepsi, or any of the quote unquote junk food. It's a simple question to ask, and it's amazing how you brought that to the audience's attention. And is it really something I want to put into my body? Is it something that's going to be, fueling the machine that we call, the mecca of our, bringing our, life and a relationship and our environment, and bringing our energy and focus? Yeah, absolutely. That's
I
amazing.
love what you said, because as a result of this, my energy levels are higher. So it's not just that I feel better, but I'm in a better state mentally, which means that I'm much better with my children, with my wife, with my parents, with my friends. So the ripple effect is huge. It's not just about how my body feels, it's affecting everything around me. Because even now I'm sleeping better. So imagine if you're sleeping better, you're more alert, you're more energetic. I'm getting better results in my workouts, in my office. It's limitless. That's the beauty about this.
Absolutely. So, with your firsthand experience and journey, how do you feel about the natural scientific methods? Because I remember you said the reason you found this was you went actually to a functional doctor, I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
How do you feel about conventional versus natural? Do you feel there's a science behind it? They work, and if not more, it better than conventional methods.
The thing is that I realize that it depends on your level of patience, right? I, I'm not the person who believes in just doing patchwork and getting, reducing the pain of the symptoms, right? I want to get down to the core, to the root cause, and find out where is this being triggered from, why is this happening, and and address it at that stage. Now that means I require a lot more patience, because I might have one visit with one type of doctor who just specializes in that area, and they may not know about something else. So I've had to visit a lot of people, and because I'm someone who prefers not to take any sort of chemicals into my body or anything synthetic, I'm always looking for the natural version. What I love about the human body, and I call it a miracle, is because it's a natural healing machine,
It
right?
is. Yeah.
You cut yourself, you will heal. You don't even need a bandage or anything. If
Exactly.
you have the flu, or you get sick or something, or have a headache, yes, you can take a pill that will reduce the pain temporarily, but your body will heal by itself regardless. And I want my immunity to be strong. So I prefer to go down the natural path and allow my body to heal. I mean, some people call me crazy, but I remember once I had a cyst removed from my wrist, and they gave me a very high dosage painkiller, saying that once this local anesthetic wears out, it's going to hurt a lot. And I told myself, you know what? It's fine. I'm not going to take this pill. If it hurts, it hurts. And I suffered, right? I couldn't sleep one night because of the pain, but that was it. Then the body healed. But I was still happy that I didn't have to take any something synthetic or chemical and put it into my body. You know. So I'm all for the natural way of healing. Look, our ancestors were healing through
Yes.
plants. It all exists in nature. It's just a matter of finding it.
Absolutely. And also on your own journey, how important was it to get to the root cause? Because I mean, you went to all these doctors and they were giving you, you did even the blood work, and you thought, you were right in the range. But without finding the root cause, how was that, important for you on your journey?
It was very important. I guess for me, the realization that I came to is, Look, it depends who you're going to go see, because that's, their level of expertise. If I go to a surgeon, they're
Yes.
probably going to talk about cutting me up. If I go to a naturopath, they're going to talk about the natural way of healing. If I go to, homeopathic doctor, they're going to go down that route. So, it's not just about going and visiting a doctor. I guess it's which direction do you want to go, and then finding the appropriate person who can help you go down the path that you wish to take. Because otherwise, you're just going to hear lots of different opinions, and if you just blindly follow all of them, you actually you may not even get cured.
So with what advice, now you mentioned the flu, and I know, we're going through an epidemic now, and it's the COVID-19 flu, or virus, I should say. What advice can you give people during this COVID-19 lockdown through your experience?
The best piece of advice that I can give is do everything in your capacity to keep your immune system
Yes.
as strong as possible, whether that's through food, whether that's eliminating certain food types because they consume a lot of your energy in digesting so that you have more energy for healing. It could be sleeping better because you get a lot of physical and mental recovery during sleep.
Yes.
It could be ways to relax your mind, because if you're constantly in stress mode, it's almost like a chronic stress. Our body was never made for that. It was always made for temporary stress. Like when the saber-toothed tiger was chasing us, we could suddenly get all the blood rushing to the right muscles to be able to sprint. But you can't sprint forever. You're gonna tire out. So do whatever it takes to improve your immunity, which is a lot to do with what you consume, with how you sleep, and certainly your state of mind. And I'll share with you one technique that has helped me a lot. This concept that I came across of why worry. And
Mhm.
when this person explained this to me, they said there's absolutely no reason to worry in life. And I said, hey, wait a minute. How does that work? That makes no sense. So here's how it goes. You have a situation in life. Can you do something about it? Yes. Then go ahead and do it. So you might have a temporary worrying phase, but you've decided to take action based on what was the situation, and you're on your way to resolving it. And then if there's nothing that you can do about the situation, a very simplistic example is the very hot weather in this part of the world during the summer, then what's the point of worrying about it? Because it's completely out of your control or your hands. And as simplistic as that sounds, when I take any problem and I break it down, there are components which I can do something about, and there are components which I can't. So I stop worrying about the things I have no control over, and the things I do have control over, I start taking action. So that's something that's helped me tremendously.
So there's a lot of unfortunate, people who feel the self isolation is also causing a lot of mental health issues, as well as we're doomed, and all these negative thoughts that are going to people's mind. So what are some ways that people can support each other, their friends and colleagues and loved ones, or something that you've done that audiences can follow your footsteps in helping others and friends and during this time, not to be yes, we're physically isolated, but what about connecting with friends and family, and supporting them? What would you do, or what would you recommend audiences to do under this situation?
So for me, the thing that works the most, and which is also what I share with loved ones and close friends, is gratitude.
Yeah.
I had a call with a very dear friend of mine from our university days, and I spoke to her this morning after probably about a month. And everyone knows that what's going on around us is a shame. But there's always a yin and a yang. So if you want to look at what's the positive that you can get out of it, is what are you grateful for right now? I'm grateful that I have a roof above my head. I'm
Yeah.
grateful that I'm getting 3 meals a day. I'm grateful that I'm eating lunch with my kids every single day, which was not the case before when they were going to school. And when
Yes.
school opens up, I may not get that opportunity again, because I don't think the school is going to allow me to join them in the canteen, right? So and when I was speaking to my friend this morning, we were both sharing stories of gratitude. So it always takes one to initiate, rather than going down that negative pool, that wormhole. Let's someone initiate a conversation of gratitude, because there's so much to be grateful for during these times, and that really helps to uplift each other's spirits.
Absolutely. I definitely agree on that. And I have a whole chapter in my book about gratitude and actually keeping a gratitude journal that gets you out of any stuckness or negative self-talk. Also, because you're an entrepreneur, a multi, several. I'm sure you've done several businesses, and I see your partners in situations, different joint ventures. What can employers and entrepreneurs do to help support themselves and their team members' well-being during this time?
So what we've done, which I found has been very helpful, is focusing on the mental state of being, right? There's a lot of fear that's going around right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And fear can easily, especially through assumptions, can grow, and it can become very dangerous. And it's an employee can think, oh, I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get fired, what will I do? I've got nowhere to go, there's no flights out, I'm stuck. So the first thing that we did as a company was reach out to all the employees and try to alleviate that fear by sharing with them what are the steps that we're taking to ensure that no person has to get fired, but what are we also doing to keep the company alive, to ensure that there's this continuation. And we had to make some, harsh cuts as well. And when I say cuts, it's not in people, but we did have to reduce some pay temporarily. But at the end of the conversation, because we approached it with compassion and love and showed empathy, and we spoke about some tools of improving your mental state of being, at the end of the conversation, a lot of them came in thinking they might get fired, funnily enough, but came out saying, thank you. And even though they had to take certain cuts in their pay, they were still so grateful that they had a job. They were grateful that we were just being truthful and honest about the situation. We're all adults, right? I mean, we don't
Yes.
need to treat our employees as children. So
Yeah.
we treat them as equals. We're like, listen, we're laying down our guard. We're just being completely open and honest with you. This is the situation, and we're just going to have to address it month by month. No one can predict the future, but this is the roadmap that we will be following, so that there are no surprises. So yeah, we help to again alleviate their fear. We assured them that they're not going to get fired until we have absolutely no choice. But we also reinforce them with positivity and with compassion and love, and that came through the empathy, the empathy as well in the conference call that we're having across the world.
That's amazing. So, are there any going back to the gut health issue, which is the primary root cause that you found that you needed to address? So, what are the signs that we can look out for that for people who may be suffering with gut health issues that might not show up like it didn't, show up on your, well, it did actually, but because you thought you were in the range, but you didn't really think there was no harm or there was no situation where you needed to attend to. So what are some things that, besides the falling, asleep, what are some things that you now think back and say, oh, this was a sign, I should have looked out for it?
So the beautiful thing about the human body is that it's always sending you signals and messages, right? So
Absolutely.
as long as you start becoming more aware of how you're feeling, rather than just being too busy in life that you ignore or you don't see the signs, here are certain things that you may feel. You can feel bloated. That's one of the symptoms that I was having. And bloating was everywhere. It was the stomach, the arms, the fingers, the toes, I mean literally the face, everywhere. I was waking up with a stuffed nose every single morning. After many meals, I would have some irritation in my throat. And I thought some of these were allergies, but when I got my allergy test done, I didn't have these allergies. So that was ruled out. But I used to get some irritation in my throat. I used to get sometimes breaking out on my forehead, right? So these were things that were happening, which the body is telling you that, look, I'm rejecting something that you're ingesting. So why don't
Yes.
you start paying attention to what you see if there's something in there that you can find as a pattern, right? And then when it
Yes.
comes to vitamins and minerals, I mean, my body used to be a lot, because I work out, I used to feel a lot more sore. The moment I started supplementing and I'm, making sure I'm getting enough zinc, enough magnesium, my muscles don't ache as much, you
Mm.
know? And it's interesting here because, and I want to share a little story from my childhood, is sometimes you don't know how good life can be because you think that what you're living is the norm. And as
Yes.
a child growing up in Antwerp in Belgium, I used to love getting ice cream from the supermarket. And we
Mm.
used to get three flavors: chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. And sometimes
I'm
if we were really lucky,
I'm guilty of that as well.
and sometimes we were really lucky, we got a chocolate and vanilla ice cream sandwich. That was like the bonus, right? And I thought that was my world. That was the best ice cream I'd ever had in my life. Then one day, Haagen-Dazs opened up, and I still remember walking into that store, and it was just like this explosion of scents and aromas that were going through my mind. And I look at the counter, and I see, I think it was like 15 or 20 different flavors of ice cream, and they're giving you samples to try, and I was blown away. And after that day, supermarket ice cream was just it was just ordinary because I experienced something better. And so that's what's happened to me now. I thought what my life was before was normal. But now that I've experienced how life can be and what it feels like to have a body that's really functioning well, I can never go back.
Oh
And that's
yeah,
why
absolutely.
I love to share my story with others in the hope that they start becoming more aware of how they're feeling. Because if you break out maybe when you're in your teens because you're changing from child to adulthood, that's a hormonal change. You might still have it as an adult, but in general, there's certain things that should not be happening anymore. So if they are, get it, find out what's happening, because I'm sure it's something that your body is rejecting or is saying that I'm deficient in this. I need more.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love Haagen-Dazs, right? I I understand what you absolutely mean. But yeah, once you understand what is available for you and how you feel after that, that feeling is exactly the point that you're trying to. I mean, when you feel so much better, you would never go back to the old flavors. You would always stick with what the variety that you're giving your body and giving yourself. On that
Absolutely.
note, how important is it for professionals like you to stay fit and healthy for their career and business?
Look, if you're a leader, it doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or not, but if you're leading a team and
Yes,
I mean, all of us aspire to climb up, right? People don't want to step down. And if you
right.
want to climb up and, in the fierce competition that competitive world that we live in, if your body is becoming a distraction for you, uh, you know, a clutter, if you will, that's going to hold you back. So if you want to grow, if you want to lead, if you want to take things to the next level with your company or with your team, how do you expect to do that if your health is not in good order? And again, it's you may think good is good, like I did, but
Yeah.
be aware, because if you're feeling better, you can give it so much more. And I'll give you a very small example. I used to run like a headless chicken. And I used to, I was just on the run the whole time in my office. And I used to wish there were more hours in the day. Now, because my energy levels have changed and I'm more focused, I've got, I don't have these problems that I was facing before. I'm so much more productive that I actually have time to now
Mm.
reach out to employees, see how they're doing. I can read articles, I can read books, I can do webinars, I can read, watch webinars, which I couldn't do before because I simply did not have the time. So it's not that it's because, and the fact here is I was not efficient with my time because of my health issues. And now that the health issues have been resolved, it's like I went from regular mode to turbo mode and I just have more time, which is amazing. I go home
Absolutely.
early and I have dinner with my kids every single day, which I couldn't do before.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I read a quote the other day that the memories you make today are what you leave as a legacy, right? Because a lot of people think a legacy is this, the superstar, home, or, the cars and all these wealth or money in the bank account. Really, what people want to cherish and that legacy is the memories that you share with your family and your loved ones. And being healthy, you could actually have that what they call work-life balance and not worry about focusing the health issues that would actually drain everything from that. So are there, speaking of clutter, you do a lot of coaching on this subject. So are there any support or free resources or things or ideas that people can access so that they can declutter their mind and in physical health? That we started off in the beginning talking about how we can declutter, our mind and physical health. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I there's if people go on my Instagram page, I'm always sharing. I have a declutter starter kit, which I'm happy to share with the audience here through you for all those who registered for this webinar. I'm all about sharing. There's lots of tools that I constantly share, but if I had to really give one, which I think is the most critical today, is have some sort of a morning routine, right? I mean, I used to be the person that woke up, pressed the snooze button, or at least mentally snooze, and then eventually, and then reach out to my phone first thing in the morning. And even before I can open my eyes, I'm squinting and I'm still trying to read messages. That was me. And
Yeah.
every now and again, I'd get a message there that I didn't like, and that would just really put me off. And then it'd take me the whole day, if not till the next day, to be in a good mood again. And now what I do, I don't snooze anymore because I don't want that to be the first action that I take in my day. I don't want my subconscious mind to think he's a snoozer and he's going to snooze for the rest of the day, right? So I stop snoozing. The mobile phone or any newspaper or any electronic gadget, I do not touch first thing in the morning. And I have a morning routine. And I have a morning routine which involves movement because I've been lying down for so long. I just want the blood flowing again. Because
Yeah.
my heart rate drops about 30% while I'm sleeping, or 25%. So I want to get that heart rate up a little bit again,
Yeah.
gradually through movement. And I usually just, I do the sun salutation, which is a yoga move, but you can just walk around. I then do deep breathing and really oxygenate my body and get that oxygen to the cells so that I become alive. Then I get into a short meditation of about 15 minutes or so. And I then finish that with journaling, where I express my gratitude. I write a positive affirmation. I go through a forgiveness process. And then I close the journal with a sentence: today is going to be the best day ever. So I finish all this and I'm just feeling so good.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready to take on the world energized. And that's what
Absolutely.
we need right now, right? Don't wake up and snooze. Don't pick up your phone. There's usually too much negativity that's floating around right now and a lot of fear. Energize yourself, and then you're going to have a high impact day.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, the show just flew by. It was amazing. I want to keep talking, but we actually have 2 minutes left. And I usually end with a quote from my book. And when we're talking about gut, I mentioned in the book that the anything that has to do with gut is some kind of frustration that you're taking on, and you're stuck or you're not able to resolve it. And the best way to do that, whether that frustration comes from your work environment, being an entrepreneur, or from childhood that you just never got out of your system through the programming that I talk about in detail in the book. But I have a short paragraph that I want to read to you from the book and take your thoughts on it. Another outstanding visualization to do is the miracle of forgiveness. And you just mentioned about that. Forgiveness, gratitude are very important tools for the gut. So this breakthrough concept improves your heart, your overall health, and rids the poison of anger, rejection, resentment from your life. You accomplish this by actually seeing the person that you want to forgive or be forgiven from in front of you. Now you say, I forgive you for hurting me, and you actually hear that person saying back to you the same. Please forgive me for me hurting you. Be specific to what the event or actions are. So this is one of the advice that I actually give that comes from the emotional drivers that I speak about. That's called chronic body disruptors. It has a scientific end to that, but we won't get into that right now. But just based on that paragraph and what I was listening to you, it's amazing how the universe works, right? You're talking about that, and I actually picked this paragraph, right yesterday before we were going to get on the call. It's amazing. So, you kind of answered it a little bit, but do you want to elaborate on that paragraph? What do you think on that?
Look, forgiveness is so instrumental in moving forward. Otherwise, you're going to have that weight that you're just trying to carry with you everywhere you go. And I read it. We all know that energy can't be created or destroyed. So if you have that hate, that anger, that hurt inside of you, it's just rotating, circling inside your body, right? You need to release that energy. And by forgiving the person, your body not erupt, right? Because that negativity, if it keeps building up, at some point it erupts and you do something that you're surprised with, or it has health issues that are being caused. But by releasing, either through verbally or writing a letter of forgiveness, you're letting that energy, that negative energy, come out and be transferred, so that you can let it go. And I know that sounds really simple, but remember, it's not about the other person. It's about you. You want to release that negative energy from inside of you. The other person could be living a great life. Who knows? You don't even have to see them or speak to them ever again. But the key here is you need to take care of you, because you are your best friend. You're with yourself the whole time, and more than anyone else in the world. So how about we give ourselves a chance and forgive ourselves and forgive others, so that we're not carrying that baggage with us, and we can move forward and achieve greatness.
Thank you so much. Actually, we had some comments from Hanedi. Hi, Hanedi. How are you? She was saying hello. Nangush, Nush Amori was saying hello as well. Al Nazir as well. Good to see you, Dr. Hanan. And with Sahil, yes. How are you? And also, greetings to both of you from Nazir. Thank you so much for joining us today. If anyone has any questions, we have exactly 1 minute left. So if anybody has any questions, your comments will actually be shown right here on the screen. If not, we're going to wrap up. So do you have any last words, Sahel? Do you want to say?
So I'll share a very quick story. Back in the day, the sailor went to the captain and said, "Captain, where can I collect my pay?" And the captain said, "Tomorrow." So the next day, the sailor was all excited and went up to the captain of the ship again and said, Captain, can I get my pay?" And the captain said, "Didn't I tell you tomorrow?" So I always tell people, tomorrow never comes. Start today.
Yeah.
So whatever you've learned today, pick something that resonates with you and start today.
Absolutely agree. And thank you so much. I had an amazing time. It flew by so fast. And thank you for your story, for your authenticity, and coming and have your time to our audience. And that's a wrap for today. And hopefully you guys can follow us on social media at drhanansalim.com. We give our support to our members for hosting free online trainings, webinars, providing free resources and support materials. You could actually even go to www.drhanan.clinic to get all this. And this is also going to be recorded and given in case you missed it for today. Thank you so much, Sahel. And that's a wrap. Take care.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Sahel.